hard to believe it went by just like that, huh? 2019 just came and went. Oh, man. That was a little bit of a rough year. Oh, man. You know what? Yeah. I got a couple ideas of what I can do in 2020. There's a couple games that I think I could show. You know what? Let's do this. You know, in 2019 we actually did see a bunch of great games come out of it. We saw Metro Exodus, we saw the Resident Evil 2 remake, we saw Sekiro, we saw Devil May Cry 5, Outer Worlds, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and there was a number of others. But, you know, it really did bug me that one game that I thoroughly enjoyed, if not wasn't my game of the year, got almost no appreciation whatsoever. And that was Ace Combat 7. Oh yeah. This game here did not get enough recognition. Not at all, and it's an absolute shame. But you know what? Let's give it one last spotlight. Before we just shoot into 2020 and, hey, we've got lots to look forward to, let's take one last peek back at something that deserves a little spotlight on it. Now, I'm kind of new to this series, and my only experience prior to this was playing Ace Combat Assault Horizon on PS3. And that game's kind of considered a misfit among the bunch. Though I honestly enjoyed that game. Hold up. But I completely see why fans of the series didn't exactly like it, given the game's universe and story up to this point, and what that did compared to the rest. Then following that, my only other experiences with Ace Combat 6. But I didn't exactly finish that one. I've been meaning to try and go back to it, I just haven't gotten around to it. So, for the most part, I'm fairly fresh with this series. I've had a friend of mine who is a big fan of Ace Combat explain to me the story and the games up to this point. And when 7 was announced, I was absolutely thrilled. Especially with something that they announced in particular. Oh yeah. This was my huge selling point. This was the first thing I did when I went into Ace Combat 7. Oh man. And you wanna know what? It blew my mind. I had no idea just how much of a special experience I was in for with this.
118th Tactical Fighter Wing, this is the Albatross
This
Control Tower. Do you
was the most incredible experience I have ever had in VR, and nothing quite like it has ever put me into the zone. As I emerged from the hangar and saw everything around me, I could tell exactly what I was in for. The feeling really put me right into the action and had me so immersed right off the bat. From the cockpit, the graphics, the audio, the dialogue, and of course the awe-inspiring soundtrack. This mini campaign, playing as Mobius 1, the legendary hero, or quote-unquote Plane Jesus, from Ace Combat 4, had me utterly sucked in and itching for more.
Mobius 1, you are cleared for takeoff. Keep an eye on approaching fighters. If they get
Now I know everyone doesn't have VR, and this footage that you're about to see doesn't even do justice to what it actually compares to with the VR itself. Having that helmet on and being this immersed is beyond comprehension, beyond words. But I want you to understand that this is nothing but a prelude of what to expect for the actual main campaign itself. The main single player without VR, this was just like dipping the toes into the water. And you really will feel like you're right in the action, and you're going to feel the raw power of this aircraft.
There's an enemy unit approaching the base. Take it out.
Missile. Missile. Missile.
3 targets remaining.
Time down from the base.
Missile hit confirmed. Watch your special weaponry ammo.
And holy crap, it just got better and better as it went on. I was able to get the hang of it pretty quickly and just be blown away by what I was partaking in and witnessing. It was exhilarating, it was intense, it practically felt real, honestly. Even seeing how it amazed my friends and when they were being put right in the action like this, it just left a great feeling. It put a smile right on my face. Seeing someone else also get so invested and exciting, even wanting to purchase VR and this game for themselves after playing this, it was such a genuinely good feeling. Not to mention, even my friends who usually got motion sickness really easily were surprisingly able to handle this just fine.
Missile. Missile.
Missile closing. Evade.
Missile.
Evade.
Missile.
Mobius 1, target destroyed.
Keep attacking aircraft! All we need to do is slow them down.
Stall one. Missile.
That's the thrum of our plane. Frequency drop.
Half the units taken out.
Missile. 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 Caution.
How did they manage to bear down our numbers so fast? Command, the situation is bad.
And I went through these missions so fast. I went experiencing the intense thrills of aerial combat, fighting these other enemy fighter pilots, attacking ground forces, defending my base under attack, to fighting aces high in the sky and fierce dogfighting. Then, this is where the bad news kind of rolled in. After all that, I realized that's pretty much all she wrote. 3 missions. I got an epilogue telling me this conflict was resolved after only about an hour of VR gameplay. I was rather bummed out, honestly, realizing that this was it. The main campaign itself doesn't actually have VR support. The only other choice was a free flight mode where you can freely fly around on these 3 maps, or watch an aircraft show on an aircraft carrier. And they'd show off some pretty cool skills, actual techniques that they used in real life, that you can watch and, learn to use in the main game itself. But otherwise, that was it. I felt pretty bummed out at the time. And yeah, it did leave me feeling a bit sad that it was over, but, I got an incredible experience out of it. I was originally hoping that maybe it'd be like a Wipeout Omega Collection situation where they added in more support with VR after that game launched, and it was such an amazing addition for that game, but it just never came here. So, for those of you without VR, I know that this may not mean much, but honestly, it is definitely worth trying. If there is any chance at all to experience this, please do it. And thankfully, even though I felt a bit let down and the bar was now set pretty high, I didn't realize that I had something even better waiting for me when it came to the actual main campaign. So right from the get-go, I was feeling incredibly curious about this. Ace Combat's community is very passionate and deeply invested in the lore and the whole world that's been set up behind it, and I wanted to know what exactly caused all that passion. So Ace Combat 7 itself and its fictional version of Earth, called Strangrio, presents a really strong story with characters that you begin developing a deep bond and fondness with. That's something I wasn't exactly expecting to get out of a game like this, but it made a lot of sense. It didn't take long for me to understand why the fans got so invested in this universe, and being one of the reasons that the fans were bothered with Assault Horizon spinning off like it did, in which that game took place in our world instead of this fictional universe that they have set up of Earth. To try and condense this down, the story is essentially about the continent of Oshia, which mirrors the United States in a way, brokering a peace with the Kingdom of Erusia, which seems to mirror Britain. They begin to build a massive space elevator following this, and unfortunately things between the two countries begin breaking down. Erusia is fearful Oshia is overstepping some boundaries, and takes a big strike against Oshia. Things turn into a massive war, where we assume control of a silent protagonist, an Ocean pilot named Trigger. From there, we begin to take back the fight against Erusia, with a team of genuinely likable pilots with unique personalities. As the story progresses, you'll be facing greater dangers, higher stakes, new threats, twists and turns that'll be absolutely shocking to you. It's going to be up to you and your team to make the big push to win this war. In the game, you get to work with a massive tree of upgrades and build up your arsenal of planes and equipment. Almost all of the planes are ones that actually do exist in real life, apart from an in-game plane and some of the special crap in the Season Pass featured from the previous entries of the series. You can choose from craft that specialize in, say, fighter-to-fighter combat, like the F-14 Super Tomcat, well-rounded and multi-purpose craft, such as the Su-47, and planes focused on fighting ground units like, say, the A-10 Thunderbolt. Each plane will typically have 3 types of limited, special missiles to use in combat that can really lay on some extra damage to your enemies, depending on what role you want. Say, a big bomb that has huge splash damage, missiles that can lock onto multiple jets and to take them all out at once. Your choice. You'll also have the choice of adding additional parts to planes for boosting stats such as top speed, your defense, turning speed, your lock-on speed, stealth capabilities, just all sorts of gadgets. From there, you'll be ready to launch at the gameplay itself. You'll have about 20 missions with a decent amount of variety in them. It won't just go from point A to B, or take out all of this or that every time. They'll gradually throw certain objectives at you, and they expand sometimes into multiple goals throughout the level. Some of them will take you on surprise attacks or defenses, throw you against massive forces with the expectation to meet a certain target number, fight aces, and so much more. The settings will be incredibly diverse, and even take you into fierce weather conditions sometimes, with Mother Nature really throwing a twist into your combat and your strategies.
It's a game that I want to go ahead and buy on the Xbox. I know it's on Steam.
Whoa. You'll be fighting all sorts of units. Plenty of other jets, helicopters, boats like destroyers or frigates, even aircraft carriers. Take out oil platforms and rigs, anti-aircraft guns, SAMs, enemy aces, and enormous drones. Throughout the game, you'll have multiple encounters with these arsenal birds. They spawn seemingly hundreds of drones at you, have massive EMPs, lasers, and all sorts of high-tech defenses. It's like you against an army and one aircraft. They'll really test your skills and your nerve, and you'll definitely be hearing a lot of warning, missile, missile, missile incoming in these situations. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that might get to you after a while. But the sheer scale and the threat will leave you both afraid of these monsters and yet determined to take these colossal crafts out. All the while this is happening, you are hearing the intense sounds of war, your comrades' banter, and dialogue that'll really bring you and your teammates together. And of course, a killer soundtrack. That soundtrack will do such a stellar job of setting the mood, leaving you feel inspired to take on these incredible odds and show your true skill. Feel a true rush and determination to accomplish anything. Show that you're ready to overcome and win this war. You'll also find that this game is outright gorgeous. The plane models are so incredibly well done and accurate both on the inside and out. The explosions, seeing a plane get shredded to bits when you take it out. The skies are gorgeous, the settings of cities, forests, deserts, oceans, even the clouds. even going through the clouds, leaving precipitation or potentially freezing on your windshield.
Okay.
Oh man. Whew. So to wrap it up nicely, Ace Combat 7 is such an exhilarating and amazing experience for you to try out. Even if you haven't had the experience of the previous games, it'll give you a recap of the story, and it stands up on its own so strongly that you can just dive right in if this is your first time playing. No problems. You're gonna get so much bang for your buck out of this game, and you know, if you got a PS4 and a PlayStation VR, that's just an added bonus right there. That's the coolest VR experience I've had. I mean, there's no reason to not try it. So to sum it up nicely, this is an adventure well worth the price of admission. You're gonna get about 25 hours worth of thrills and amazing dogfights along the way. You won't regret it. Alright. With that summarizes thoughts and feelings on Ace Combat 7. I genuinely hope you guys give it a try. It's well worth it. Hell of a lot of fun. I don't think you'll regret it. At least you could say it's a new, interesting experience for you. Besides that, you know, I guess we got some time to burn now. I've got plenty of games in my backlog. And the next big release is what? Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing? It's about a month. Yeah, I know what I can do next. I got some goodies in store for you. Got some future plans and projects that I hope you all might like. With that, pretty much wraps up everything in a nutshell. You guys have my sincerest thanks and gratitude. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. And until next time.